Welcome to East Tennessee Pinball. Well, this Funhouse, the playfield swap, it's all done, but I do have one error. Buddy, I don't know his real name. His handle is Solitaire. He tells me all the time, and Anyway, I call him Solitaire. I'll probably always call him Solitaire. Anyway, he came by and played this other game, and he put a pretty good score on it, and he was trying to put his initials in. And he kind of found a couple of things wrong with it, I took care of all those. But the right flipper switch, it raises the flipper, but it also, when you enter your initials, it goes right or left. So on just the previous generations, there was a switch stack, and it had the high voltage switch, and then the 5-volt switch would be stacked up there with it, either on here, or sometimes it was underneath the flipper, in the flipper mechs. On these later ones, I tracked it down. It's these two little Opto-Isolated switches. So I think what they're doing is they're taking that 40-volt signal because there's only one switch now, and it's Opto-Isolated from everything else. I think that's how they keep it safe. But this is for the left flipper, and it's working, and then this one for the right one is not working. So I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here. Let's go into the test menu. So if switches, if I do the left flipper, see it says left flipper. If I do the right flipper, flipper works fine, it just doesn't know you're doing the flipper. And as far as I understand, the only time that switch is needed is to enter your initials to go right. So you could go left, but that kind of sucks. So I found it in the schematics. It's I don't know if I can read it right here. Y'all could probably, if you're on your PC anyway, you could probably see it. I can't see it here looking at it right now. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is a little trick that I learned from Ronnie over at Joe's videos is I'm going to turn the game off first, but I'm going to just put it on there. I'm going to snap it on in place. Basically just dink, not solder it first, and see if that fixes the problem. If it does, then I know for certain it's not some kind of wire or circuitry. It's just I need to pull that chip out and solder in this new one. So I'm gonna bend these things down a little bit and snap it into place right there. All right, so I have that little chip. It's just kind of like snapped in right there. So it's in parallel with that other chip. It's kind of squeezed on there. So I am going to boot this game back up and go in the test menu and see if we can switch edges. Left switch. That one was already working. Let's see if the right one. Oh, it does work. Cool. Cool. So now the real joy is I get to pull this board out, which is just so much fun. There's only like 15 million connectors in there. So anyway, I'll yank this board out of there, desolder that chip, put in a socket, jam that new chip in there, and I think that is the last thing. I ended up having to I played a few games and started chipping the paint off there. I was afraid it might, and it did. So Jane touched that up and put some Varathane on top of his lower lip. So that was an issue. Yeah, just little bitty things, when you go this deep into tearing things apart, when you put it back together, sometimes things get tweaked. So you gotta play a few, make sure everything's playing the way it ought to. So I've got this board on the bench, and you can kind of see how I've got the thing just pressed on there, and it's just kind of making connections just because it's squeezed on. And sometimes I don't get them to work, and in this case it did. So that just verifies for sure that chip was bad, and replacing it is almost for certain going to fix the problem. So I'm just going to desolder that chip, put in a socket, and slip that new chip in there, and that should probably get that little right flipper switch working. So I got that chip socketed in the board, and I got the board in the game. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this thing on. Get into Switch mode. There it is, right flipper switch. Super. All right. Well, I think that's the last thing to do with this game. Hope so. I'm going to play a few more games on it and see if anything else pops up, but I don't think so. I think it's all good. Hope you liked the video. If you do, yeah, I just had this towel on it because I had the glass off. I wanted to keep the dust out of it, but looks pretty good. If you like it, click like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Adios.